My parents refused $85,000 to save my son but spent $230,000 on my sister's wedding. Later, they begged me for money. My name's Olivia Grant, 34 years old. And I learned the hard way that family doesn't always mean love. Sometimes it means betrayal, wearing a smile. 2 years ago, my little boy Mason was diagnosed with a rare heart condition. Doctors said he needed surgery, soon, and it would cost $85,000. I drained every savings account, sold my car, even started crowdfunding online. But I was still short by $20,000, so I turned to the only people I thought would help: my parents. Now, they weren't broke. My dad owns a construction business. Mom runs a small boutique. They've always lived comfortably. But when I asked them for help, they looked at me like I was begging for something unreasonable. Dad sighed. Olivia, we've done enough for you. You chose to be a single mom. You have to handle your responsibilities. Mom added softly, you can't keep coming to us for everything. We're not a bank. I stood there, speechless. My son's life was on the line, and all they saw was a burden. That night, I sat beside Mason's hospital bed, staring at the beeping machines keeping him alive. He looked so small, so fragile, and all I could think was, how could parents who raised me turn so cold toward their own grandson? Before I left the hospital, I made a silent promise. If Mason made it, if I somehow pulled him through this, I would never ask them for a single thing again. And when karma finally came for them, I didn't stop it. Comment karma. If you believe what goes around comes around, and tell me, would you ever forgive your parents for something like this? 3 months later, by some miracle, and a few kind strangers online, I raised enough for Mason's surgery. He made it. My little boy survived. And when I looked at his tiny heartbeat on that hospital monitor, I knew one thing. We didn't need them anymore. Fast forward 6 months. I got a promotion at work, bought a small apartment. Mason started school again. We were finally okay. Then one afternoon, I got a call from my mom. Her voice was shaking. Olivia, your dad's business is collapsing. The wedding? We don't know what to do. What wedding? I asked. She hesitated. Your sister's. We've spent everything. We thought, maybe you could help just until... I actually laughed. Not because it was funny, but because karma's timing is perfect. The same parents who once said, we're not a bank, now wanted my money to fund a wedding they could no longer afford. I said quietly, you're right, Mom. You're not a bank, and neither am I. There was silence. Then she whispered, Olivia, please, your sister will be humiliated. Humiliated? I snapped. Try watching your child die because no one in your family cared enough to help. That's humiliation. I hung up. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel guilt. I felt power. Because some debts aren't paid with money. They're paid with lessons. Comment karma if you've ever watched life serve justice without lifting a finger. Tell me where you're watching this from. I read everyone. Subscribe if you believe every story deserves its ending. A few weeks later, a gold envelope showed up at my door. Thick paper, fancy ink, and the same handwriting that used to write my name on birthday cards when I still believed family meant love. It was a wedding invitation. My sister's big day. The one I apparently wasn't expected to attend. Yet somehow, they still mailed me an invite. How generous. At first I tossed it aside, but that night I couldn't sleep. Something inside me, not revenge, not bitterness, just closure, whispered, go. So I did. The day of the wedding, I arrived early. No designer dress, no diamonds, just a simple black gown and a calm smile. When I walked in, every head turned. My mother froze. My father's face turned pale. And my sister? She looked like she'd seen a ghost wearing lipstick. Olivia, she stammered. I didn't think you'd come. I smiled sweetly. Oh, you know me. I never miss family events, especially the ones I'm not invited to. The whispers started immediately. Guests murmured. Someone whispered, Isn't that the one who— Yeah, I was that one. The forgotten daughter. The one who wasn't worth a few $1,000s but apparently worth a scandal. During the dinner, my father came over, forced a polite grin, and said through his teeth, Why are you here? I looked him dead in the eyes, because I wanted to see what my money could have paid for. He didn't say a word, just walked away. And I sat there, eating dessert like a woman who'd finally learned the taste of peace. Comment, strong, if you've ever had to smile in front of people who once broke you. Subscribe if you know. Revenge doesn't always scream. Sometimes it just shows up, looking better than ever. Dinner was nearly over when the MC announced, Time for a few words from the bride's sister. The crowd clapped, awkwardly, unsure which sister that meant. My sister's smile froze. Oh, I think she means— But I was already standing. Glass in hand, calm as ever, I walked to the mic. You could feel the tension thicken. Like everyone in that hall suddenly realized this wasn't going to be one of those sweet, boring speeches about sibling love. I started softly. Hi everyone, I'm Olivia. The other daughter. The one who didn't make it into the photo slides tonight. A few nervous laughs. My mom's fork clinked against her plate. I just wanted to say, this is a beautiful wedding. The flowers, the venue, the dress, all perfect. Almost as perfect as the silence I got from my family when I needed them most. The room went dead, quiet. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. I just let the truth sit there, heavy and undeniable. Then I smiled, looked straight at my father and said, But don't worry, Dad. I figured out how to pay for my own dreams. Turns out, when you stop waiting for help, you build a life even richer than the one you were denied. People started clapping, unsure if they should, but they did. My sister tried to laugh it off, but the damage was already done. That night, I left before the cake was cut. No drama, no tears, just quiet satisfaction. Because I realized something. I didn't crash their party for revenge. I attended it to remind them, you can't erase someone who's already written her own success story. Comment unbreakable if you've ever turned pain into power. And hit subscribe. Because the best revenge isn't loud. It's living better, freer, and on your own terms.